Hi, this is Stephen from SteadyMaker. In previous videos, we have unboxed and laid out the components. We have set up and pre-balanced your stabilizer, and we've discussed the different operational modes. The one thing left to talk about is what we call inverted use of your stabilizer. This will include your handlebar attachments and the use of the remote to control your stabilizer. Now, your stabilizer is quite heavy. It's around 3 to 4.5 pounds when you use it. 3 pounds without the top handlebar attachment, about 4.5 pounds with the top handlebar attachment. If you add a monitor or an external microphone or light to your stabilizer, it starts to become quite heavy. This means that it is difficult to maintain a straight and level operation all the time in normal mode with the handlebar. This is good when you're in very tight spaces, or when you need to do a quick shoot, or when you need to be very, very portable. You can use it with the lower handlebar. You can either use it in two-handed operation or one-handed. You can keep the tripod on the bottom to put it down between shots. But it becomes quite heavy, and if your arm starts shaking, this also affects the stabilizer use. So what I often use is in inverted use, which means the handle becomes at the top of your stabilizer. So now I'm going to show you how to set up the top handlebars and the remote for use in inverted use. Okay, in order to do that, first of all, we don't need the tripod anymore, so we're going to unscrew the tripod from the base of the handle. So for inverted mode, basically it means that the handlebar is going to be at the top instead of underneath. This means that you're now using it essentially upside down. However, the motors will still maintain a straight and level perspective. Now, if I power the motor on in inverted mode, you can see that it does a good job at maintaining straight and level with the handle at the top instead of handle at the bottom. No difference with the pitch motor. The pitch motor is still on the right side, but you'll notice that the roll motor is now upside down. Now I can still use this with the single handle if I need to on inverted mode, and again it's good for situations where you need to maintain a small presence or very portable quick setup. It's good for very low angles. I can drop this down to the floor and I can roll along the floor with my stabilizer. Again, it's in the default mode when you switch it on, which means the pitch maintains straight and level, which is very good when you're close to the floor because it will keep the camera straight and level to the floor no matter where you hold your stabilizer handle. However, I'm going to switch my stabilizer off, and now I'm going to set up the handlebars. What you will want to do, first of all, when you're placing your top handlebar attachment to your stabilizer, is you want to make sure that the side handlebars are screwed in. Now to do that, push the sides in. Don't push them all the way through, just push them about halfway through. If you push them too far in, you'll see that the pole goes all the way across and then you won't be able to put it over your handlebar. So just push them a little way in. Now you'll notice with these screw threads that they need a certain amount of tightening, but they are spring mounted. So you can lift the screws up and turn them and then clip them back into position and then tighten some more. So it's like a wrench or a one-way screwdriver. You pull, twist, push down and then turn some more. You'll find that very useful with the rear screw when you come to put it on the handle. So make sure it's tight but not too tight. If you put it too tight, it's going to be very difficult to take these out. Same again with the other side. Slide it in so that it's not all the way through the hole. Just make sure that it's most of the way through the hole so it's not obstructing the main hole in the center. And tighten it down with your screw on the side. Make sure that both handles, you want to make sure that both of these handlebar attachments are equidistant, the same distance from the center. This will help with holding and balancing later on. So make sure they're tight, nice and secure in there. Then you want to slide this central attachment over your main handle. Now, You want to make sure that this handle is pointing towards you. In other words, it's in line with the yellow on and off button on the back of your handle. This means it will be easier to hold your stabilizer because you'll be holding the back of the handle near you when you use it in inverted mode. So you'll want to push it down over the handle. If it's too tight, then just loosen this screw. Make sure that, that your central ring is loose enough so that it slides over. I'm just going to pull out my screws and loosen them a little. There you go. And what I like to do is I usually like to maintain it about halfway down the handle. So about in the center of the handle there. And again, the rear handle that you've just attached, it points in line with the yellow power button and towards you. So once you think you've got it in a good position, then you can tighten these screws. You'll notice that this red screw doesn't turn all the way around. It stops when it gets to the handle. But again, you use the spring-loaded red parts of the screw to tighten it. So I'll pull it up and then pull out the top part of the screw. You'll notice it's spring-loaded. It pulls out and then twist it back down and then it pops back in place and then I can keep turning. Again, tight but not too tight because you're going to be loosening this later. Before I attach the two handles, I want to attach my remote. It depends if you're right or left-handed, depending on which one you're more comfortable with. I have the dominant side is my right hand, so I'm going to slide the remote onto the handlebar using this top handlebar attachment on the right side. Now with the clamp, if you're going to use a monitor or a microphone, or if you're going to use an external setup, you want to put this on the opposite side to balance it up, so then you would also slide this on to the opposite handlebar before you put the handles on. It's just useful then because you can position things before you lock everything in place. Right now I'm not going to use any attachments, but I would often use a monitor with this handlebar attachment so that I can see where I'm filming without having to look at the LCD screen on my camera. So again, tighten up the top handlebar attachment until this is in place, until you're happy with the positioning. You can put it closer or further away from the handle if you want. And the final part is putting the handles on. And these handles are angled. It means that the hole is not straight. So the handles won't go straight down, they'll go in at an angle. So make sure you slide them on. You'll see that the handle rests at an angle. And again, use the red screws. I put the red screws pointing towards me just because it's easier to operate with my thumbs then, but you know, it's personal preference. Just make sure that the handles are, again, equidistant, the same distance from the ends of the handlebar attachments. It's good for balance that way if you make sure that your handlebars are the same distance. So I'm just going to roughly line them up and then tighten up that handlebar. And again, make sure they're pointing down. Now remember, this is in inverted operation. It means that the main handle is upside down. You can also use these handlebars and these handles in normal operation. If you want, you can spin the handles around to face the opposite direction and then use them to hold your stabilizer really high up. Now, this is just in single person use. Unless you're giving the remote control to someone else to operate your camera remotely, you want to place it next to one of the handles so you can then stretch your thumb across from the handles to the remote control. Now, if I lift it up, you can see it's pretty good. I have multiple uses. I can use the two side handles. I can use the center handle and I can lift it higher or lower that way. And like I said, if you wanted to, you can also use it in normal mode, which is this way. And then you can use the handles in this way to then hold your stabilizer higher or lower as needed. But at the moment, I'm just going to show you in inverted use. So right now, my stabilizer is straight and level, my handles are on, the handlebar attachment is on. I'm going to power up my stabilizer. And again, if you notice, if it's not level, you can freeze your motors in any particular position you want, just to maintain a straight and level, and then switch back to the handles. And now you have inverted mode. This means that you can use it with your remote controller. Make sure your remote controller is on and the mode is correct for your remote controller. So power on your remote controller. And then I'll use default mode, for example, 3 presses. Now the remote controller near my thumb is now able to be used to control the stabilizer, and I also have my stabilizer following in the yaw and locked in the pitch. And again, if I power off and then switch things around and then power it back on, now I can use my stabilizer in normal mode. And again, I can lock the motors in straight and level and then switch to the handlebars. Now I can use it in this mode. I can move the handles around to a position that I'm comfortable with. I can use it very high. I can use it right in front of my face so that my face is right next to the LCD screen at the back of my camera. And you can see that there's many different modes of operation. And again, the default mode means that it remains locked in the pitch and it follows in the yaw axis. So, hope that's been a helpful primer with the handles and the remote controller. And don't forget, if you need any further tips and tricks, look at some of our other videos for stabilizer use and operation, and you can see how to walk and maintain a good position and pose when you're operating your stabilizer. Hope that's been helpful.